in fact, a clean voter register is the basis.
Thank you.
For
that's the first step.
Election. Yes. So everybody should be involved. It's online. Go to the INEC portal. It's online. Even if you can't get to your polling unit, at least when you go online, you see that there's an error, there are issues. Then you can go to the INEC office, to make appropriate complaints, as where you'll be given a form. Usually that's what happens. And I'm sure a lot of persons, especially the civil society, will also write petitions that INEC, will take a critical look at. That again, Amechi, with the multi-dimensional.
Yes, let's welcome Abulu to comment on the voters register.
Yes. I was reading a while ago that a group wants INEC to decentralize the checking of the list, the register, because
it can be viewed online.
It can be viewed online, but Nigerians who always say they don't have data.
The decentralization is the collection of PVC.
The collection.
Collection.
Yes. So they want it decentralized so that Nigerians can easily get access to it. And
presently, it's at the local government level.
Headquarters.
So decentralized to where now?
If you have a local government like Shomolu now
in
Lagos, you need to decentralize it to maybe to development areas. Lagos has, I think, how many local government? Then you have development areas. 20. You have about 30 development areas. So when you decentralize it to these development areas, I think it makes more sense that it's closer to the people. And they
don't forget, those development areas are not recognized by.
Yeah, even though they are not recognized, but you can use them as a point.
They did the lowest
for
political
Lagos,
unit.
what's for other states?
The lowest political unit is
other states. Most states have development
which
areas.
INEC call registration area.
Yes. Anyway, INEC says that's the essence. They started the claims and objection. It's currently ongoing. If you see or hear anything,
and it's just for 2 weeks,
alert INEC. But a lot of questions that people raise on the social media and of course offline. INEC, they say, was quick to detect the infractions in southern Nigeria, but most of these underage registrations are suspected cases of underage are in the northern Nigeria. And they're asking, if you're quick to discover it there, why don't you also be quick? But INEC has said, like I told you before, it's a collective process. Help us and we'll clean up the register. Like Teve said, if the voter register is not credible, then that election will not credible. And of course, I think INEC recognizes this and are working as seriously with a view to solving the problem. The Inspector General of Police yesterday told us what we have always said on this program. For all throughout this week, we have devoted a substantial time on it. The governors he mentioned at the forefront of incitements leading to electoral violence. Their actions in not allowing level playing field. So you can see that we are not wrong. For the Inspector General of Police to come out openly to announce this, then we need to ask a lot of questions. Unfortunately, the governors have immunity. You can't prosecute them now, but we believe there are other areas we can also try to
we can prosecute them.
We can investigate them. EFCC chairman says there are a number of governors under their watch. You can investigate, but you can't prosecute. But there are practical steps, many we can take to rein in the governors who are doing going outside the laws and the rules and regulations to push through their candidates.
And we have said that, Amechi, the comments that you make, David has said one time here that governors are like kings. A comment a king makes goes a long way to affect or to impact on the subject. The situation in Rivers State, for example, where the governor signed Executive Order 22, banning political parties from using residential areas as campaign offices, is a problem, or is an issue the IGP raised also, that governors go about placing ban or having a certain...
in several states of the
Good. So, such can incite the people. You saw the South chairman of a Labour Party came on Wiki and said that it's wrong. It's not supposed to be. This year is 98 days, as we have said earlier on, and you expect people to get campaign offices where? plazas, they should use plazas, or they should use football fields, or they should use primary schools, school buildings. Where would they use? I think the governor needs to rethink on this, and every other governors, like Governor of Kogi State also, that talked about placement of billboards. I think we need to know that Nigerians are already extremely hungry. Look at the statistics from the National Bureau of Statistics, poverty. And so we don't need to increase the pain among Nigerians. Let them be free to do things according to law. I'm not saying any political party has the right to break any law, respect the law, but the governors should step low, should step down some of these executive orders or laws that can prevent opposition political parties, in quote, from doing their campaigns.
You know, for a while now, just like I mentioned, we've been discussing this and trying to see what solutions can be instead of us also lamenting, and all of that. And I think what the Inspector General of Police did is one of the first steps in the right direction. You give the warning so that when you take the action, nobody says you had not. The good thing is he was there with the DG of the NIA, and the other guy in the military. The states don't have police to enforce the executive orders and all this nonsense they are signing. So if the Nigerian police force decides that they will not enforce those illegal executive orders and all of that are a threat to our democracy, those things they will be as useless as the paper on which they are signed. So the duty is with the police as the lead agency in provision of security for elections. Now that they've issued the order, you should not end at just threat, raising the issues and all. The IG should direct his commanders, the commissioners of police and all of that, not to deploy any of their persons, and the civil defense. They should not deploy anybody to enforce those useless executive orders, banning
I think
and all of that.
Well, are they illegal? A governor is the constitutional leader. He went through election and he won election. I don't think we are right describing those things as
useless. And he has a right to infringe.
Because the president also issue executive orders. I don't think we are right to describe
that's why some of us say if you give these governors state police,
executive orders are not laws. Executive orders are meant to enforce the implementation of laws.
Yes.
So if you give an executive order that does not have any footing in law, perhaps nobody has challenged it in court. And this is where we ask the
lawyers,
political parties to also challenge it in court. But maybe we'll call it obnoxious executive orders. We know legitimacy and otherwise, but we want the due process to be followed. But Teve hit the nail on the head. The governors, they don't control any place. Yesterday on this program, a writer wrote and was complaining when it comes to fighting crime and criminality. The governors will shout and on top of their voices that they don't control the police. But when it's time to go against political opponents, how do they then effectively and efficiently use the police to achieve that? And like you said, there are legitimate orders and there are illegitimate order. Now, if I'm a governor, there are about 270 policemen deployed to at least to a governor. That's what a former police boss have told us. They are deployed to you so you can use them anyhow. Perhaps let's assume those enforcing these orders are part of these 270 or more that are deployed to government houses. It now behoves on the police hierarchy, starting from the Inspector General of Police to their commanders, to the Deputy Inspector Generals, Assistant Inspector General, Commissioners, Area Commanders, the Chief Details, DPOs. They are, even if they are not learned, they are educated. They are legitimate orders, and you have a right to insist that you have to get a clearance from Abuja. And going forward, perhaps, look at what the Chief Justice of the Federal High Court has said. Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, and of course, the other authorities in the judiciary. You can't take any political case now to a state high court. You must take it to a federal high court. If there's a directive on enforcement of any law, any executive order, or any rule or code as regards the election and campaign, let the order come directly from force headquarters, not from government houses. If your state governor asks you to go and see this building, tell him, Mr. Governor, I'm sorry, I await clearance from first headquarters. In that way, in the interim, we can check these excesses.
But Amechi, lands is under the state. And any building built in a state like Lagos State, the state government is in control of public buildings, whether private or commercial. So somebody sitting in Abuja cannot issue an order, counter order to a state
Is
government.
it last month that they will send to go and chase people away from the land? It's still police that they will go to go and enforce.
But the properties are in the state, and the state governor is in charge.
No, the enforcement we are talking about.
We're talking about enforcement.
Enforcement is the policemen that go to enforce.
Enforce.
So if the governors enjoy immunity, would you now advise that they should disobey or they should not?
No, I didn't say disobey.
You said they should not enforce.
Yes, they should get confirmation from Abuja for those particular cases. Of course, we have seen situations where even to fight crime, the commissioner will tell you, I want to get confirmation from Abuja. But we are not saying you should apply wisdom here. There are instances where the governor issues directive and the state commissioner of police is bound to obey. But when it concerns a political related issue, that's why I talked about issue of federal high court and state high court. We saw how state high courts were abusing it. A local matter in Anambra, a Jigawa State High Court will be entertaining it and go to say Oyo State. Another high court in Oyo will entertain a local matter in Anambra till they put their house in order. It has to be streamlined. We are all about solutions. If there's a better solution to this, people should put it on the table and want to, because the IG was like lamenting, and it shouldn't be lamenting. It should be finding solutions, and that's what we are trying to help you.
Perhaps it's also, the governors are also powerful and strong. In most cases, they are also funding the state commands and all of that. So this is why it was yesterday also that I said this commitment of President Buhari for free, fair, and credible election should not just be verbal, every day pronouncing in which this is one particular issue that we've seen is a threat to the 2023 elections, and he needs to take action. The IG yesterday said there have been 55 violent cases in about 22 or thereabout states. It will escalate. It will go beyond that.
If we don't stop it, it escalates.
So the president, if the president needs to give the IG the order after maybe talking with the governors and all of that, he should give the order that if there is any thing that would threaten or infringe on the rights of other political opponents and all of that, he should not be obeyed. And we'll have a free and fair election where the field will be level for everybody to go there and seek for the mandate of the people.
Okay, let's share some of our mails. Some of the mails we have sent to our email platform. When we come back, we'll take a look at and yes, we can structures and all you have. With all the beautiful infrastructure, poverty is increasing. 133 million Nigerians poor. Now, how is it distributed across the country? Well, in northern Nigeria, you have 83 million out of this number. That's 65%. While in southern Nigeria, 47 million or 35%. Now, let's break it down to states. Sokoto is the one that houses the most number of poor people in terms of percentages, 90.5%. So, if you meet 10 people in Sokoto, 9 are poor. If I'm the governor, I would indeed do something radical. I will really see how I change things. It's followed by Bayelsa. Bayelsa, 88%. Gombe, 86%. Jigawa, 84%. That means for all these other states, in every 10, about 8 plus are poor. Plateau State, 84%. Now, some states are at the other side, those doing very well, not having greater number of poor people in their places. Now, the best so far is Ondo State. This is a time to be a citizen of Ondo, an indigenous of Ondo. I want to claim Ondo State this morning, but my state is not far off. Ondo, 27.2%, Lagos, 29.4%, Abia, 29.8%, Edo, Abulu, you're doing very well, 31%. You're slightly above us in Anambra State, 32%. Tebe, where are you?
I mean, we've been saying it all along, just that people are refused to listen to us. But I'm happy we have this report. In fact, we should congratulate the Nigerian government under President Muhammadu Buhari. Nigeria is the first country to carry out the multi-sectoral, multi-dimensional survey, which was introduced in 2010. I think it's something we should be, though the figures are before us, but we should be happy that it's a baseline for us to build on. And when I was listening to all of this yesterday, I said, this is where Agenda 2050 should come in. And Nigerians need to understand that the poverty they are talking about here is not this poverty of 2 naira or $2 or 1 naira per day. This is not the poverty that this survey or report is talking about. We're talking about access to education. We're talking about access to health. We're talking about
access to housing,
security shops, unemployment, and all of those things. So it shows that in Sokoto State, the higher number of persons don't have access to. So
basic things.
It's very possible that you will have the money. That is the implication. It's very possible that you will be somebody in Sokoto who has the money. But because those facilities or those services are not around you, you will not, have, even if you have the money to pay, you cannot access it. I've always given an example about my own local government where the entire local government will not have an X-ray machine, which means if you have a fracture, you are on your own. So these are the issues.
Look at what will happen. If you have a fracture, they have to carry you to the nest, and you run the risk of...
or you go to a traditionalist, a herbalist.
So that's the thing, and the same thing, with education. How many, and with the out of school children, it's clear, it's obvious for everybody. And the good thing with this report also is it shows to us that our federation is not working. All of this that we're talking about are in the states, and we're giving out state by state. The good thing is they've also reduced it even to senatorial districts, which they went to as low as local government. But as it is, this is what the political leaders should, put at the back of their mind moving forward. And we also
be a guide on how to spend public funds.
In 2030, where do we want to be? How many, how many, the quality of education, access, and all of that. That's why the Minister of Education will tell you he will fail. And any other person that comes and wants to do it all by himself will also fail, unless the federation works. The education,
that's the state.
The state education, for instance, under concurrent list. What are the state governments doing? Local governments are supposed to be in charge of primary education. They're supposed to be in charge of primary health care. How well are they? We have a national agency for primary health care and all of that as an intervention because of the failure of the local government, even the states, and all of that. So it's a major issue. It means we must get our federation work. If not, we will continue to see this kind of figures.
I think the civil society called budget. I think the government should also embrace them because I know they will go further to break it down to the state level, like in the state like Sokoto. How many primary schools can be accessed by children? How many primary healthcare centers are accessed by children? So it's a wake-up call, as Xavier said, to states and those that are aiming to be governors. This is a document that we shouldn't joke with going to 2023 election. You look at your state. If your state appear in the first 3, first 5, first 10 poor states, I think Tambowa has a big work to do ahead of 2023. He needs to convince the people, if they must re-elect him, that he is ready to do in the next how many months remaining before he leaves office that he can change some things, if possible. Collect loans.
Unlikely.
This is a period where
the man is using with campaign.
You don't joke with the health of the people. You don't joke with the education of the people. You educate the people. You educate a nation. So I think that government, state must embrace the interventionist agencies created by the federal government to ensure that their states measure up. Because we cannot having an Ondo state being number one in access to education, being number one access to health, and you have a state like Rivers, Lagos coming what number are they? I think 5th or 6th or thereabout. So I think it has a lot to do with the people's mindset and the readiness of the government to provide these things to them. And one other thing we mustn't forget is management. Some of these things have been provided, but they are being mismanaged. And as years roll by, they get dilapidated, and you can't use them.
I mentioned two other things.
Very quickly.
Yes, this also points to the fact that, look, even if the president is from your village, it does not change anything. We've seen that in the case of the Northwest.
Yes.
We've seen that in the case of Bayelsa, where they had a president, but we'll look at where they are. And then the other issue that is also, critical in all of this is, getting everybody getting involved. beyond just looking at the figures as it were. We need to get involved and see how we can,
the next thing you see, these governors, these states that didn't perform very well, the agents of the government will begin to attack this data. It's science. You can't fight it. Go and change it, and we conduct another one, and the results will be fair. And to me, it gladdens my heart so much, because this is what we shout every day here, that there's a difference between soft infrastructure and hard infrastructure. Soft infrastructure is the foundation. And what is the soft infrastructure? Education, health, education, housing, better living condition. That's the foundation. Water. Now, these hard infrastructure are the roads, bridges, airports. You can't, without laying foundation, you can't give me international conference center. When I have not gone to school, you can't commission 10 flyovers and share it with the rest of the world. When your state is not among the first 5. So it tells us that we have to redirect our mindset. We have to help those in governance. It appears that many of them